Hello, everybody. You could call me Hunch. I'm going to make a quick, easy, very informative video on price prediction by 2030, but also what countries adopt Bitcoin next. So let's review. We know that two countries Bitcoin is legal tender. It's a country in Africa, something Congo. You can look it up. I can't remember it off the top of my head. And El Salvador, right? El Salvador is the more prominent one. People pay attention to that, right? So let's dive on in. So this is Coin Bureau. If you haven't followed him, go ahead and shoot him a follow. I think he's one of the better YouTubers. He tries to give as accurate information as he can without being super inflammatory or boisterous or over the top, right? So he is saying that in 2023, he predicts another country will adopt Bitcoin, and that's right in line with the halvening. Now, he mentions that Iran and some other of these countries may already be settling in Bitcoin, etc. And that makes sense because if you look at Russia, they've hinted at legalizing international trade, and this makes perfect sense because of Russia is kind of ostracized from the West, and they hold commodities that they want to sell, right? And if they're cut off from SWIFT and the US dollar, they've got to use something that they think will maintain value. And probably some of that is gold. Some of that is the new currency that they'll be developing, I'm sure, with China or et cetera, et cetera. Bitcoin, though, is perfect because you can mine it as a nation state. Nobody controls it, et cetera, et cetera. Now, what do I think is going to be next? Well, we all know. Well, we don't all know because you guys don't read that much. But Brazil has been drafting legislation, I believe. Now, everything could be wrong. You should double verify everything I'm saying. Legislation around crypto and Bitcoin. So I think that's a player. But what I truly think is going to be the next country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender is Mexico, right? This senator has been talking about Bitcoin, right? She's got the Bitcoin bug in her, I think, right? And that makes perfect sense because it's another Latin American country. And two, it kind of has displayed itself that Latin American countries want to move away from this American system. I think that you can kind of find by doing enough research that they feel like it's an unfair system because they're so dependent on dollars, right? But they have no say over how the Federal Reserve acts, how it affects their population, their economies, et cetera, right? So there's kind of this trend going on. And then I think Africa obviously is going to follow Latin America because you see the Republic of Congo, that's the name. And then Jack Dorsey is doing a lot of work in Africa. So I think it's going to be Mexico that sits down and says Bitcoin is legal tender. That's just like a game day prediction. I could be completely wrong, right? It could be Brazil. It could be another African country. You know, I know that somewhere in Sweden, like Laguna or Luguno or something like that, I have to do a little more research on that, if that's actually legal tender or it's just not outlawed or it's just promoted, but it's not legal tender, right? So you have all those offshoots, and I think it's going to continue to grow. Now, I wanted to cycle back to this guy's prediction for 2030. Now, this isn't the video where he makes a prediction with some other YouTubers. I believe it's Altcoin Daily. He makes a prediction about where the price of Bitcoin is at in 2030. Now, he says 200,000, and I'm going to give you a reason why I don't think that is. Now, it's not financial advice. It could be completely wrong, but I think it's going to be much higher, right? Because he sits here and he talks about predictions and all of this growth and innovation, right, in the Bitcoin network. And sorry for those fireworks going off, but I'm just going to keep making those videos. It's almost a new year, so congratulations for that. Woo! I'm actually going to play into it, okay? But I actually think that he is way underselling the $200,000 price prediction. Okay, because if countries do adopt like he is predicting and all this innovation does occur, which he talks about, I don't see how 200,000 is even remotely close to what the price is because, first of all, we've been through two halvenings. And second of all, if there is real world adoption, right, I think at its current state, what you think the fair price may be, right? At its current state, I think it's certainly around fair value or maybe a little under it. But if you take into account two halvenings, just based on the halvenings and no innovation, right? Just based on the halvenings and no innovation and no getting off of the dollar standard, right? I think he took in too much assumption that the dollar system is still going to be holding on by a mile as the number one financial kind of network. And I don't. I think Bitcoin is going to make a lot of headway, and I certainly think it's going to be above $200,000 in price, because if by 2030 we haven't been educated enough about the purpose of Bitcoin, I don't know about you, but I'm going to be long gone from the network, right? I am going to be out if it's not a mainstream idea by 2030 and it's not way above 200,000. I've failed as a person who thinks they understand what a good future for humanity looks like. So I'm out if it's way under 200,000 or just at 200,000. So that's the main reason I disagree with this price prediction. So just give me a little bit of hope. I think it's going to be way beyond that. But if you want to be conservative about it, 200,000. But at that point, if it's only 200,000, I think it might as well be zero. Like it is not making a dent. It's not overtaking gold. It's not bringing any real innovation or settlement to real world assets, right? At that point, it's just a store value and less than gold. Like there's no point, right? Might as well just hold gold, you know, in your 401k. Where's the innovation there? I don't think that's taking into account anything, and I think it's vastly wrong. Not financial advice. You can call me Hunch. Let's get it.